Oh. All right. So this film is a great example of what can be done in one location when you have such interesting characters and it's so well acted. I want to first start by asking Enzo and Ash how you came up with this concept and where it came from.
It started off as a scene within a feature script that we were writing, and we were kind of banging our heads against the wall for 4 years trying to figure this thing out as a feature.
Not quite 4 years, but...
And eventually we just thought we had to film something. We had to get up and film something and see if we could direct as well as write together. So we extracted that scene, kind of expanded on it, infused a bit of...
We've been to a lot of acting classes.
Yeah, so a lot of this came from direct experience and the kind of trauma that can be inflicted upon actors and the kind of dynamics at play. So we kind of infused the short with that, and yeah, that was basically it.
Yeah, and the contradiction of really liking it, ultimately.
Oh yeah.
And how was the writing process? Did you pretty much agree upon everything, or was there any differences there?
We write. I mean, we generally agree on pretty much everything. We kind of share the same brain.
Yeah.
But
or figure it out till we do agree.
Yeah, I mean the short script itself took about 2 weeks, and then we were there. Pretty much, it was kind of a quick process, and I mean a lot of what's on screen is improvised anyway. Like it really came down to the casting and the actors that we picked. Some of you guys should be up here, but David, of course.
Yeah, David really.
Yeah, so David, we've seen so many of your films, in the past, and this is such a different character for you. How did you get involved in the project?
Can you guys hear me? Yeah, I've known Enzo for a really long time, and through Enzo I met Ash, and they asked me to do it, and I said on one condition, and that was if I could do a British accent. And what?
You actually called me the night before we were about to shoot. Like, I'm going to do a British accent.
Yeah. But what's funny, I think, is that it's like 3 different British accents, so you kind of get the idea that he's faking it the whole time, to feel like more, so that he can come off more profound or prominent. But I've always wanted to do a British accent, so... it was I love them very much, and they wrote a wonderful piece, and for me the best thing about it is, what is acting? The difference between a bad singer and a good singer is pretty tangible. You can see the difference. You can hear it. Same with painting, writing. But the difference between a bad actor and a good actor is like a matter of degrees, which makes being an actor really difficult personally, because you're ultimately selling your essence or whatever the hell you are, not that you know. I saw a great play that Michael Shannon wrote called Mistakes Were Made a few years ago, and he plays a off-Broadway producer who gets the opportunity to produce a Broadway play with a massive movie star attached. But the movie star doesn't like the director who's attached. And so Michael Shannon has to sort of negotiate between the two of these guys without letting them know that they don't like each other. And he speaks to the director, and he says, at one point he says, I'd love you to talk to the actor and really get him into it. Actors, they don't know why they're alive. And
it's true.
I remember the whole crowd laughed, and I was with an amazing actor friend of mine named Kevin Corrigan. It was just me and him, and we both have major actor existential issues, and we didn't find it funny at all. We were like, oh shit. Yeah, so it was a good, cool opportunity to make that statement in a roundabout way.
Did you have a dialect coach for this?
Yeah, me.
Oh, you were a
Yeah,
dialect coach?
basically. Yeah.
Cool. Does anybody have any questions for the filmmakers or cast? Any questions? All right, we'll start in the front row. Go ahead.
How many pages is the script? How did you choose the outfit? Interesting.
The script was about 20 pages. The outfit, I'll let David explain because he kind of.
Yeah, we had an idea, and then David kind of he wanted
Who was
to be
your
like
reference?
Yeah, it was Julian Schnabel.
Yeah,
I wanted to- because like I saw Julian Schnabel once out on the street, and you would think he was a bum, you know, like he was, it was shocking. And then I was like, oh, when you're an artist, you can wear whatever the fuck you want, you know.
Yeah,
You
so
can-
he-
art.
so he
I'm
asked
wearing
for-
art. I'm wearing my art today. So that was kind of the idea.
Came in with pajamas, and we were like, all right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, we'll get to the next question. I just want to real quick ask Brendan if there was any challenges in the photography of the film. Was it fairly easy to shoot inside of a theater?
I mean, the big challenge was that it was sort of the one room the whole time, right? And that there wasn't going to be, and that it was taking place over the matter of a day, a few hours, and there wasn't going to be like a big, there wasn't like a lot of natural motivation to like shift lighting around. So we used the stage lighting as a way to do that, and then we just sort of did a few things behind David to try to ramp up the feeling of the moment without worrying about motivation so much.
Right.
But no great challenges. It was just a really great shoot. Like, these guys set us up for success from the beginning, and I was grateful. They gave us all the toys we needed, and we had a blast.
Great. All right, let's get
Yeah, we
one,
did.
we have one last. Let's get one last question. Yes, go ahead.
That was one of the early scenes that we wrote, and it was like kind of not copyright protected. I think.
Yeah, that was part of the reason.
Yeah.
And also, you know, what's the stupidest this guy can look?
Yeah.
Getting up on stage for the first time.
Yeah, and I kind of did a version of it for you.
Yeah. We were trying to figure out which monologue to include, and then Enzo launched into it almost.
Yeah,
And
I did
I just
basically
died.
that.
And I was like, that's the one. That's it.
Yeah.
All right. So, in conclusion, I just want to ask one last question. This film can be interpreted, I guess, in so many different ways. What can each of you just say? What the main thing is you want the audience to walk away with, a lesson learned, or just something that you want the audience to feel, or one thing you want the audience to kind of leave with.
I think that for me, turning something seemingly innocuous as an acting class and flipping it on its head and imbuing it with that sense of horror and dread that actors feel, but also the dynamic between, a position of power, David's character, and how we all kind of subscribe to various cults in life without maybe always registering it, and how that sense of belonging to a cult-like environment can be so prominent in ways like that. So that's my.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was mainly what we were aiming for. Was just like trying to get across the emotional feeling of being in an acting class and going up there in front of, just getting into, because many acting classes are like that. They're very cultish. So we wanted to kind of just heighten things a little bit and give you that sort of exaggerated version to kind of maybe get across our personal experiences with acting classes, I guess.
Okay. David, your thoughts?
Acting is absurd.
Okay.
It's an absurd vocation in life. I've learned not to take it seriously at all. I think that's what the film's about.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you try too hard to be anything, you're going to mess up. Failure is awesome.
Yeah.
And you got to commit. It's about yeah, it's about bleeding for it. You know, as absurd as it is, you kind of have to bleed. You know, you got to shed a little blood. If you're not in pain as an actor, I don't want to know you. You know.
I agree.
All right. Well said. Brendan, thoughts on that?
I'm going to let David have the last word there.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
for
Thanks,
presenting
guys.
class here
Thank
at the
you.
Big Apple Film Festival. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so congratulations to Rebecca and the production team and cast of What Breaks the Ice. Great job. Okay. So this is
Okay, thanks, Katie.
so this is such an interesting film because it brings up so many questions about morality and the way that young people perceive right and wrong and when is the right time to do the right thing or not, and it brings up a lot of questions. So I want to first start by asking Rebecca how you kind of came up with this concept. Where did it come from? What inspired it?
Yeah, sure. And I think that we actually talked a lot about this a bit in the virtual conversation that we had.
Yep.
I would say there are two touchstones. One is I'm embarrassed to say that I started writing the script in 2014 and then took a little bit of a break from it from that point. But it was the year that Richard Linklater came out with the film Boyhood, and I went to go see like an early on screening at the IFC Center and was thinking, well, what would girlhood look like to me, right? Like, what would that, if I were to tell that story? And then subsequently, I also told you that I was a little embarrassed to tell you that I became obsessed with these two girls in West Virginia who were very popular and then decided that they wanted to kill one of their friends. And so I thought, how do I combine those two things into a movie that I want to tell? But I mean that facetiously, but what I'm really trying to say is that I really wanted to tell an authentic story about female friendship, particularly in the 90s and when there wasn't like this incessant technology, and there was just a way you could kind of get lost and find just find your way into friendships and connection in a way that I don't think we're able to do now, and felt like that we've really crossed over into a different way of living our lives. And I really wanted to make a film about that. And then I bring that up about the friends only because, and actually Meg and I talked about this when we were developing the script. We were like, well, in the 90s, you actually could get away with killing somebody. And yeah, anyway, but not in a bad way. So trying to infuse a little bit of humor in it. And what I know is it's a pretty intense film, and we intended it to be that way. And we're really proud of the sentiment that the film portrays.
So do we have any questions from the audience? Anybody want to ask a question? Yeah, in the third row here. Yes.
Is there any reason that
Should be what? Yes, actually. Because I felt that when you're 15 years old, you're still, you're still part of your family. I think that there's something about the ages of between 16 and 18 where you're really developing into yourself as a human being. And at the time when I was a teenager, 16 seemed to be like this age where like you have a sweet 16, you're suddenly considered to be like a different level of teenager into being an adult. And we actually, that is actually one of my favorite scenes of the two girls together, where she says, I'm 15 and my parents are taking me home, where you suddenly realize that, yeah, she's 15 years old. And no matter what, however she's portraying herself, she's still 15 years old. And yeah, I don't know if that particularly answers the question correctly, but yeah, I think that there was something about looking back on being that age and how people see you and how you see yourself.
Okay. Any other questions? I have a question about the casting. I mean, the interaction between the characters is so great. The acting is fantastic. Catherine, your reaction when you open the door and the police are there, you know, and it's such an honest sort of reaction, and just so many moments, so many intense moments. So, how did you go about the casting process? How did you find your actors? Did you know who? Did you have an idea of who you wanted prior to, you know, even writing this, you know, finishing the script?
Yes, yes and no. And I actually would like to pitch that over to Kathy because I think it's a really interesting conversation about how we met and how you came on board the project. Because, sorry to put you on the spot.
I don't remember how you got
We,
it.
well,
All I
Michael,
remember is that
you know.
I just read the script. That's
Yeah.
all I remember. I read the script and I thought it was brilliant. That's all I really remember. I was like, I think I was doing like 4 jobs at one time and I was like out of shape and freaked out that I was doing all this work and happy and excited and didn't know how I could do all this work. And I gained a lot of weight, which is really, I was impressed with how much weight I gained, but, which is great. But, I just remember Michael told me to read the script, and I really like Michael Cuomo as a producer, and I've worked with him many times, and I really like his taste. And he just told me to read it, and I did read it, and I thought it was one of the most brilliant scripts I've ever read. And so that was what I remember. I was like, I'm in. I got to do the script. I don't care. I don't care if what I'm doing. I got to do this. Yeah. So I think, you know, I really feel strongly that if this script was one of the things in the Library of Congress, that would be a good thing.
And the other.
Kathy, I will take that. But yeah, no, I think within keeping it within the couple of minutes that we have here. Thank you, Kathy. I'm so glad she's here. Yes, it was a really organic process, I think, as far as casting went. I feel very blessed that every person I wanted to cast in this film actually wanted to do it. And I had really great partners to work with on that. And that's how good movies get made. And independent film is really hard, but it's the good hard.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, the cast, I mean, the acting was so genuine. All these moments, there were some great monologues and interaction. It was just incredible. The ending, I was just curious. One of the things that I was surprised by, I think a lot of people are surprised about, is how it ends. Usually with films like this, they get caught. But this, you went kind of in a different direction. I'm just wondering why you chose that route.
I think you and I have kind of touched on this earlier in conversations that we've had, but I don't think anybody is all good or all bad.
Yeah.
And I think that when you think about teenage girls and you think about bad decisions that people make, and for whether it's popular or not, amongst the team, we talked about this a lot. I really wanted to make a film that allowed for ambiguity about what are good values, like who's a good guy, who's a bad guy. I think young people make bad decisions, but that doesn't mean that they're bad people. And that was the kind of film that I wanted to make. And I felt that the team we put together really participated in that value scape.
Yeah, that idea that there are young people who will do bad things doesn't mean that they're bad people. That's exactly what it says, I think, at the end there. I mean, it speaks to that exactly.
Yeah, and even, about, like, people have asked me about the time period. In fact, you asked me about the time period. Yeah. And I thought that was really important to have the backdrop of 20 years ago. It's interesting until there are certain scenes that allude to that. People don't necessarily know that it is the 90s, and I think that's kind of an interesting place to be thinking about the movie. I also feel like I've been talking too much, so I would love to let other people talk about the film. Thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, I had an incredible, you can also be very blessed making a movie with incredible people who see the vision that you're trying to address and what you're trying to say, and who get on board with that. And, this was I know they're like, speaking to a small but beautiful audience. We're very blessed to be here because in the times that we've been living in, to actually be able to do a screening in a beautiful movie theater with an audience, I mean, this is truly a blessing. So thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
We joke about this all the time. Like we could cry in our cornflakes about what this year and 2 years hasn't been for us, but we're so grateful. So thank you.
Of course. Yeah.
And then I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to let everybody else speak about whatever they have to say, or we can just go and.
Well, I was going to say in the last minute, if we can do this in the last minute, if everyone could just quickly say like what the main lesson is that you want the audience to walk away with from the film. And maybe if everyone could just kind of speak to that, in the last minute we have.
Friendship. I think that's a good theme from this movie, right? Friendship.
Brian always tugging on the heartstrings there, our heartthrob. I think, just does someone deserve to be judged by their worst moment in their life? And do people get away? No one comes out of this movie unscarred. So I think, just be patient with each other and try and bring understanding to everything we do.
I think for me, something that really attracted me to the project when Rebecca first sent me the script to consider from a producing perspective is that you can think that you know someone and then they can really surprise you if you allow them to. So, and what I mean by that specifically is the end of the film and what Emily chooses to do that she doesn't have to do, right? I think it's a beautiful thing, and it's kind of a nice metaphor for life. It's good to be surprised sometimes.
Yeah. Meg, any thoughts?
I mean, Brian touched on friendship. Something that's very interesting, particularly about this project, is Rebecca and I have been friends for years, way before we did this project together. Our costume designer, Brianna, is a really good friend of ours. We, at one point, all lived together in the same house in Los Angeles while we were developing this project. So, yeah.
And then, of course, we all lived together while filming.
Yes, we did. Yes. We did.
Except for Brian. Kathy stayed with us in the house.
Kathy did stay with us.
Four of us.
Now we're all still friends.
But I run into Brian every time I'm on the ferry. Like,
And
Brian and Catherine, our editor, Brian and I, and Valerie have an uncanny way of running into each other all the time.
It just means we're supposed to keep.
Yeah, there's
reuniting,
magnetism.
that's it.
But yes,
Yeah.
Meg and I have been friends. You talk. We've been friends a long time.
Yes, when Rebecca was doing her master's thesis film, we met online, how everybody meets these days. You hired me to do art department for her. So I think it took, another 9 years after that, and here we did this film together. So hopefully there will be many more.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank all of you for being here. Congratulations on a wonderful film. Thank you so much, and thank you to the audience for being here. And we really appreciate it. And if you want to just take a couple moments and grab a couple pictures up on the stage, feel free. But thank you. Thank you all.